Hopefully that helps. Can increase that a little bit. Hopefully that helps. That seems to have done it. That should be better. I look really fat. That seems to have done it. That should be better. Alright, so it looks like I'm all good. So, hey guys, what's going on? My name is Shane, and I am back again, I think. Who really knows? Someone's gonna walk into my room. Anyway, so back again. It's gonna be a staple for my channel, I promise you. This is weird watching myself. I'm not. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. Thought there was someone standing outside of my room for some reason. Anyway, probably not used to seeing me like this. I'm not used to it either. And this light is really unflattering, and I'm sorry about that. So basically, this is me trying to escape my comfort zone. Yeah. So hopefully you guys can bear with me while I try to get used to this, because I really don't like seeing myself on my camera. It's really low quality, and I just hate seeing myself. I don't know. It's really weird. Not not used to it yet. But with time, hopefully, because I want to start doing this a lot more often. Hopefully daily, but we'll see how that goes. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. So, in this stream, I want to talk about stream slash video, that is. I want to talk about a few things. One being my kind of life story, I guess, and I want to talk about my time, very brief time in the Air Force, uh, and why that's been affecting my consistency with my channel. All of that involved. So, first, I want to start out by saying I am not used to this, so I might stutter a lot. I might look really awkward. I might just kind of look around because I'm just naturally a nervous person, and doing this kind of thing is very uncomfortable for me for now. But this is something I really want to do. So, first to tell you a little about myself. My name is Shane. You already knew that from my videos if you have seen them before, or if you watched the beginning of the stream, I guess. This is off to a great start. Um, Basically, I think I I don't want to like self-diagnose or anything, but I'm pretty sure it's clear that I have some sort of form of social anxiety, and that's important because it affects a lot of aspects of my life, this included, which is also a really big reason for my inconsistencies. Um, so it's really distracting watching myself. I'm so sorry. Um, this is really weird. I'm so not used to this. Anyway, but yeah, it kind of affects almost all aspects of my life. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate in some way, whether it be with social anxiety, anxiety in general, some other kind of mental illnesses or something. Um, but basically, ever since I was able to identify the fact that I'm not like a lot of other people, I guess, in the fact that I can't talk to other people, I can't just approach people, I can't just like if I go to a restaurant or something, right, and I like go to order my food from like a cashier, like a fast food restaurant or something, I I get nervous and I always I don't know, I've always been that way. Like every little kid has had their phase where they don't want to talk to the scary waiter or waitress when they come to your table. That's normal. But that kind of thing never went away from me, and I always wondered why that was. So I haven't been officially diagnosed or anything, but I it has been suggested to me that I do have some mild form of social anxiety, and that's one of the big reasons I started doing YouTube actually is to kind of combat this in a way. Um, it's something like that. And it's fun. It's I really enjoy doing it. I just there's a lot of things that get in the way of doing so, which is very unfortunate. Um, so the social anxiety is definitely a big factor. Um, Also, another big factor is now I have a full time job. I'm working 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and when I get home from work, I'm usually just exhausted or don't really want to do anything but eat and then go to sleep. But with this, I want to try to do at least an hour or two of streaming after I get off work, and we'll see how that goes. I definitely want to do Friday through Sunday if I can for at least a few hours. So I'm getting kind of off track. I'm sorry. That's probably going to happen a lot. Um, so basically, uh, the whole social anxiety thing, and um, basically my sophomore through senior year of high school, part of my senior year of high school, which I only graduated 2 years ago. So this was a decently large chunk of my high school career. So very early in the sophomore year, there were some family things going on, and I became not I wasn't diagnosed or anything, but it was pretty clear that I was showing signs of depression. And so I think if any of you follow Nick and Nick is one of my good friends. If you watched any of our collaboration channel videos back in like middle school, uh, you know that I've always just been kind of like quiet and shy, and you can definitely tell if you've seen those videos. I'm not gonna link those videos because they're dumb. And we played Minecraft. Need I say more? um, but after that, I kind of went off on my own and did YouTube for a while. Um, None of the old videos that I made back then are on my channel now, just because I kind of went through a refreshing stage. Um, I think I've done that twice now because I've been back like 3 or 4 times, something like that. Hopefully, this is the last time. I hope so because I really do want to do this. Um, so getting off track again. Now going back to sophomore year, I started showing signs of depression, and I'd also restarted my channel during that time, and that's also a big reason why I stopped doing it at that time. I always kind of went back and forth. Uh, I kind of uploaded very inconsistently, just whenever I had time or whenever I felt like it. Um, but never like consistently, which didn't really help me at all. Sorry, I just ate dinner. Um, Also, I've never done this before. So, I was kind of doing it off and on at the time, but I was also dealing with the depression or whatever it was. Self diagnosis, I know. Um, so that was kind of a thing all through sophomore or senior year. And then I graduated and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I refreshed my YouTube channel with the videos that are there now and started uploading semi consistently for like a good month or two. And that was fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. Uh, but one thing led to another, and I decided to enlist in the Air Force, which is a big thing for me because I've always been this shy, introverted kid, and now all of a sudden I want to go off into the Air Force, in the military, which gave my mom quite a shock, and my dad was like, "Oh yeah, my son's gonna be a man," all that kind of stupid stuff. But so I went through that whole um, I went through that whole process, and it took probably 5 months to get through that whole thing. Um, just figuring out the paperwork, figuring everything out, getting all my information, uh, all that kind of stuff. And in June or July of last year, I, or no, it would have been earlier than that. I think it was like May, sometime in May, I finally got my occupation that I was gonna do when I enlisted, and I had like less than a month before I shipped out. So that obviously created some panic for me because I didn't have very long. Because most people generally have like a few months uh, before they ship out, and I was actually going to be like a photojournalist, which is pretty cool because my recruiter at the time had never enlisted a photojournalist, so I was going to be the first, and I was extremely happy about that because I've always kind of wanted to be a photographer, and I just love art of all kinds. So I thought that was going to be a really awesome opportunity for me, and it would have been if it had it worked out, which obviously here I am. Um, so basically, I had less than a month to prepare, get ready, and that added an incredible amount of stress on me. Like, this is the first time you have to understand, I've never been far away from my family for an extended amount of time. So, for me to go to San Antonio, where the Air Force training base was, Lackland Air Force Base, to go halfway across the country to enlist in the Air Force, which would have prevented me from seeing them for a good amount of time, you have to understand that it was like stressful, and I'm sure you would understand. So, about, I think it had to have been June rolls around, and I'm getting ready to ship out. And like 3 days before I shipped out, we had like this going away party for me or whatever you want to call it, where I had a bunch of friends, family, whatever. So the big thing for me that night was not only shipping out in a couple of days, but I was going to propose to my then girlfriend. And so I did. And that was just one other thing adding stress at the time. I was about to leave newly my new fiance is basically what I'm saying. Basically, in 3 days or whatever it was, I was going to be leaving, and I had thought I had my life planned out in front of me, which is why I thought it would be a great idea to propose. Like, give her a reason not to think I'm gonna go looking for Air Force babes, or I don't know. I don't know what you would call that. But yeah, I just wanted to give her some reassurance that I wasn't going anywhere. Um, so, and I thought I had my life planned out. So I went off, and um, I don't think I'll ever forget the flight in to San Antonio. It was like crazy lightning storms, and I don't know if that must be normal for that time of the year around June. Rain and thunderstorms, because it was like that like almost every night I was there, which is insane. Because I was, well, I'll get there in due time. But coming in was crazy. I thought we were all gonna die, honestly, but it was just crazy. So we land, and I'm all already like, yeah, let's go. That was awesome. And so we're in the airport, and that's a bunch of us, like a big group of people that are going into the Air Force or getting ready to go into basic. And I know I kind of just jumped right into this story without any kind of uh, warning, but anyway, we're all waiting there, and I think it was some sort of officer or something comes in, herds us onto the bus to go to Lackland. And one thing I'm going to mention before I go any further, I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say, because I know that I signed a lot of contracts before leaving. I signed a lot of contracts while there. So I'm not sure how much I can say, so I'm going to try to keep it to like a bare minimum. But basically, we get on this bus and we head into like the heart of San Antonio. And it's like, at this point, it's like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. It's really late. And I'm exhausted because I've been up since like 5 that morning. But I'm also like super excited and like kind of on edge, because at this point you're supposed to be getting yelled at by somebody, and that's something I kind of prepared a little bit for going in, is like I gotta like build up these walls to kind of make sure I'm not affected by anything they're saying or yelling at me. So we roll into Lackland Air Force Base, and it's dead quiet. Nobody walking around, obviously, because it's 11 at night, maybe later. I don't even remember. Um, and everything's just dark and quiet, and it's ominous, like kind of creepy. So we go through, and we're like circling the outside of some buildings, going around a block or something a couple of times, and it's, I guess, to build um I don't know the word. This is also something you're gonna have to get used to if I stream consistently, is me forgetting words, because apparently that's a thing. So building suspense, that's what it is. Gotcha. Anyway, so we're building suspense on this bus, and we finally stop, and the bus driver's like, all right, now listen, real talk now. someone's going to be yelling at you pretty soon. They're going to get on the bus and they're going to just start yelling at you. Don't take anything personal. This is their job. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, we've seen the videos, we've heard the stories. And so we're all like, bring it on. So we drive a little bit farther in, and the bus driver stops and he's like, good luck. And we're all just kind of sitting there silently, and someone in uniform and with that officer's hat, he must have, or sergeant hat or whatever, he must have been, I think he was like a staff sergeant, uh, gets on the bus and just immediately, no, it wasn't immediate. I'm forgetting my own story. He gets on the bus and he's just silently looking around. First looks left, then right, and then he just screams, "Get off my bus!" And we're all just like, oh, gotta go. So we get up, we're carrying our bags, and we're like bumping into each other, and we can't get off the bus fast enough. And he's like, you've got 30 seconds to get off my bus. If there's one person on here, you're doing 50 push-ups with your backpacks on. So we're like trying to get off the bus as fast as we can. So we all get off the bus. He tells us to line up. We're all lined up in like 5 rows of however many people. And then he has us just stand there for a little bit. And then after like a minute of standing, he's just like, okay, into the building, into the building. So we just start rushing into the building, which is like the registration building or something. I don't even know what it is. And basically that's where we get all of our stuff. And maybe it's like the supply building. I don't know. So we go in there, grab our stuff that we're gonna need for the night, and we go to this. We get back on this bus, and we start heading towards this like auditorium building, like this big, with a courtyard, and then then it's like a huge auditorium. And I think that's also where they do like the graduation ceremonies and whatnot. So we all go into this auditorium. There's like hundreds of people like that have probably been there for hours and hours, because we were the last bus to get on there, and we were told that at the registration building. They're like the sergeant that was talking to us didn't even want to yell because he'd been yelling all day, and he's like, look, I've been yelling all day, I'm not gonna yell at you guys, just do what you're told and everything will be fine. So we're all in this auditorium building, and they're calling out names to come grab paperwork, and then to be allotted your flight, which is basically your group that you're going to be bunking with, drilling with, just everything with. So I think I was there 2 or 3 hours. Like, it was a long time. We were in there a long time. And by the time I was called up, got my flight, everything, which is cool because I was in the same flight as one of the other guys that came from my area. He ended up continuing on in the Air Force, and so if you're somehow watching this, you know who you are. Thanks for being awesome, a good friend, supportive, whatnot, and that goes out to my entire flight if you somehow ended up stumbling across this video, stream, whatever. So I get my flight, we go off, and we're shown our dorm. And we thought, oh boy, yay, we get to go to sleep. We take in our stuff that we got for the night, and our drill instructor tells us to put all of our stuff in our locker next to our bunk, or next to our beds. And so we put all of our stuff in there and we're like, okay, we're going to go to sleep. Drill instructor's like, all right, time to start the day. Because by this point, it's like 3 in the morning, 3 or 4 in the morning, uh, which we usually get up, I think, like 5 to start drilling and whatnot. So we're all ready to start the day, basically. So we didn't get any sleep that night. So we immediately go out, start gathering up the equipment we're going to need, learning drills, marching, different stuff. That was an exhausting 24, well, I guess it would have been probably closer to 48 hours, because I had woken up at 5 the previous day and stayed up till the next day, or the next night, at about, I think, what is it, 8 I think is when we go to bed. Anyway, so yeah, like almost 48 hours of no sleep, which is insane. And a lot of that is just exercising, just constant marching. And this is Texas, mind you. So if you live in Texas, you understand. Especially, like, I guess this is southern. This would have been southern Texas because it's like San Antonio. But it is humid. Like, I was only there a short time, but it is humid. Like, constantly. And raining. And it's horrible. I don't want to go back to Texas. Um, those of you who live in Texas, I don't know how you do it. You're amazing and insane. Kind of crazy. I'm scared of you, probably. But anyway, so we spend 0 week, which, if you've been in the Air Force or have experience or family or whatever, 0 week is like supposedly the worst week, where you're just constantly moving. You probably won't get any sleep because you're just like terrified of being there and being yelled at constantly and just doing all these crazy things that you probably weren't prepared for. I know I wasn't, which is why I'm here. But basically, um, I'm just going to skip to the part where this is all kind of relevant. So, before going to Texas, I thought I had mentally prepared myself enough. I thought I was going to be okay. I purposefully put myself in situations that would test my social anxiety, self-diagnosed, um, and tried to get past that before I went to Texas, so at least I had some kind of mental preparation. Turns out I was not mentally prepared enough, and basically what ended up happening is I had an extreme mental breakdown, uh, like an extreme anxiety attack, I guess. But basically, all I remember from that is like, it's weird because it happens in like increments of time. So basically, I was like laying down in my bunk, and then I was like freaking out. My heart was racing like it's never happened that bad before. Um, and I was like, I know I'm not a man for admitting this, but like, I was crying like profusely, probably ugly crying. Um, but I just remember getting out of my bed, and then it's like, it happened like, it's like I was blinking through time, if that makes any sense. But basically, I got out of bed, I like blinked, I was in the bathroom, I blink, I'm splashing cold water in my face, blink, I'm on the ground, like holding my head in my hands, and I blink, and then there's someone uh, who must have been our I can't remember what they call it now, but basically when your flight goes to sleep, you have two guys that are on like a night duty where they're kind of just like watching the area, making sure there's no one uh, that needs help, or like someone trying to come into the area that wasn't permitted to, or whatnot. So there's one in front of me, and it's like a senior person who's like in their sixth or seventh week, because those are generally the people that watch um, the younger flights while they kind of develop that skill. So he's like trying to calmly talk me down, like out of this state I'm in. And I remember him telling me that his name was Turner too, and he's like, it's on my tag, because they had name tags. We don't get those until like second or third week. But he had his name tag, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Turner too. How's it going?" So he's just sitting there talking to me, and I'm like, still just bawling because I don't know what's going on. And I remember like it took me like 20 or 30 minutes to calm down. And then he's like, "All right, go back to bed. You'll be fine." And he's like being real positive and supportive, which was awesome. Um, so I get back to bed. I I think I end up falling asleep for a few hours at least. Then we wake up. I think it must have been on a Sunday, and so um, basically what ended up happening is I told my um, drill instructor what had happened, and he suggested I talk to the um, minister, or the I don't remember. I don't remember who it is that I talked to, but basically, um, they were like, "We don't know if you're gonna be okay or whatever." So, long story short, they send me to uh, a hospital to have like a mental checkup or whatever. Um, and then I was put into like this rehab center. I think that's what it was. Um, because they didn't have enough room in their mental hospital section, whatever it was. So they just sent me to this rehab center where there was a bunch of people recovering from like drug abuse and alcoholism and all this crazy stuff that I had no affiliation with. So I was like kind of way out of my comfort zone. Luckily, there was another guy there that was in kind of a pretty similar situation as I was. So we kind of just had each other's backs and whatnot. So I was in that area for like 2 days, and then I ended up being sent to like it was the same place, but it was like a building sector for military personnel. I don't know what it's called. Basically, they called it missions, which was I thought I was going off the campus for that place when they told me they're sending me to missions, and I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. It's the same place, but in a different building with a bunch of other military people, not necessarily just Air Force, but just military in general. So I was there for it must have been 2 weeks or something like that, because it was like over Memorial Day weekend. I think it was Memorial Day. I a lot of this stuff I just don't remember, but basically, they sent me back to what it's called Medhold, and basically that's where people who are in basic training go when they're either recovering from an injury or they're being sent home. In my case, I was being sent home because they weren't sure that I was mentally s- stable, basically, is the gist of it. So I'm not going to go into specifics because this is one of those parts where I don't know how much I can say. But my time there was absolutely miserable, and I don't like. I've been at some low points when I was in high school with my depression or whatever. Depression. I don't know if that's what it was. But I would have to say Medhold was my lowest point. And I've got a journal that I kept while I was there that I wrote in, and it's going back over it now, it's super dark, and I don't remember what I was thinking back then, and I was kind of afraid. Um, what's this? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so I was there for probably a week and a half, and then I came home. Uh, and for probably a month, I would say that was probably, besides Medhold, the time for like a month after was just awful mentally on me and incredibly taxing. I was having like nightmares of being in my dorm room with my flight and getting up, hearing the like morning alarm or whatever, the trumpet, you know, the the military trumpet. I'm not gonna try to make the sounds because that would be horrendous. um, so basically, I would wake up in the middle of the night hearing this and thinking I hear my drill instructor yelling at me, and I would get up out of my bed at home, stand at attention next to my bed until I kind of snapped out of it, and I was like, and like, it took me minutes to realize I was in my own room, and that went on for like a month afterward, and that was terrifying. And I didn't think it was gonna last as long as it did, and it was just awful. Um, but so I know there's gonna be a lot of people, and if you watch this video and think this, then I'm sorry, but I'm I wish I could have been more mentally prepared and stayed. Um, I'm not ashamed of having come home because I know that I tried my hardest to stay and kind of fight through it because I wanted to be a photojournalist. I thought that sounded like one of the coolest jobs ever, but just didn't work out that way, and I'm proud of myself for even attempting because no one, none of my friends, my family didn't expect that of me, and I didn't expect that of me. So I'm just proud of myself for trying, and I have a lot of respect for people, my flight included, the people who have been through there previously, who will go through there in the future. I've got a friend that's in there right now. All these people, I'm proud of these people for making it through, and I have complete faith that these people will protect our country with their lives. And I mean, I wish I could I wish I could be with them. I really do, but like obviously it wasn't meant to be. Got to find my own path, whatever you want to say. But so for like a solid like 2 months after I got back, I was jobless. I was just kind of in this state where it was kind of like depression where I didn't want to do anything. I didn't think I could do anything. I was just in a extreme low point, and so I just wasn't sure. So um, a little after that, my grandpa got me in touch with his boss, and that's how I have the job I do now. So between all of that, my point is this is why I haven't been able to consistently make videos, even though that's been like a thing I've wanted to do forever, but I haven't been able to because of all this. Um, but even with my full time job, I want to start making videos. I want to start trying to get my channel back in order. I want to make content for you guys, and I feel like this is also like just as much for you guys it is for me, because recently I haven't felt like myself. And that's an awful feeling, like not knowing yourself, not feeling like you know yourself. And that's, I almost feel like I'm starting to fall back into those same patterns that I was back in high school and feeling those same feelings. And I don't want to go back to that. It's an awful feeling. So I know that when I was making videos a long time ago for you guys, that I was having fun doing it, and I want to do that again. Again, not just for me, but for you guys as well. And hopefully I can kind of also work on my social skills as far as like the anxiety, the fear, I guess. Um, I want to work on all these things so that I can hopefully make content in the future that'll be enjoyed by many of you. Hopefully, many of you. That's the goal. So, yeah, that's really. I I feel as though Nick. No, I'm not. I'm not bringing back MLG Bros. Why do you want to? This is Nick in the chat saying he wants to bring back MLG Bros, which is the channel I didn't want to mention that Nick and I did back in the day. So, Nick, no, no, I'm not doing it. I even offered to do it a long time ago, and you're just like, no, you didn't want to do it. Yeah, I don't care if you're sad. I love you. No, but yeah, so um that's all I've really got to say. And so that went on a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I'm actually happy for that. But anyway, I think that's where I'm going to leave this for tonight. Um, Thank you if you end up watching and listening this entire time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, Follow me on all of my social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. This blank space was for any alerts. I'm still trying to get used to the whole streaming thing because I uploaded videos instead of streamed them. So hopefully I will get better with this. I'll be able to figure out all this stream stuff over here and up there. And I'll have to change things around and hopefully mess around with it and make things better. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next video, because there definitely will be one. Or stream, video, I don't know. Whatever comes next, I don't know. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.